Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and as soon as Alyssa and I moved out to Southern California a few years ago, I started exploring all of the nature areas that are afforded to us within just a few hours drive from our house. It's kind of crazy that despite being one of the largest major metropolitan areas in the world, you don't have to drive far outside of LA in order to get mountains, woods, snow, desert, obviously shoreline if you go up or down the coast, all sorts of different top tier nature and outdoors experiences, and to be entirely alone without anybody around for miles and miles. Now, I started out using my truck that we picked up on the way out to California, but it wasn't super ideal. I kind of started poking in. I got a truck bed camper, kind of built out some basic stuff, but I knew that I wanted to have something more functional and a little bit more fit to the task of coming out here to beautiful campsites like this. So I welcome you, my newest personal vehicle and the most expensive vehicle I have ever bought, my 2001 Ford E-350 Super Duty Sportsmobile. Now, some of you are going to be turning off the video right now. You couldn't care less about a giant gray van. But others of you clicked on this video for the reason of seeing what this thing is all about. So those of you in the know that Sportsmobile is one of the premier van build-out companies. It's been around for, sometime in the late 90s, I think, is when they started. And they take primarily Econolines, but now I think they do Sprinters and all sorts of different vans, and entirely build them out to be a compact camper van. Now, they don't all come lifted up like this. This one has a special 4-inch lift by Camberg Engineering. Camberg Engineering is the one who did this lift. And it's got some aftermarket shocks, springs, everything like that. We're going to talk about those throughout the video. It's got aftermarket bumpers, a few other tips and tricks on it. But the interior is a Sportsmobile build-out. I'll have to see, I think it's an SMB 50 or something. There's a few different variations on how you can do the build-out. But I have actually owned this for about 6 months now, 5-6 months or so. I bought it for my 30th birthday, paid about $20,000, and I knew that it needed at least a few $1,000s worth of work. So that's been put into it. So all said, I'm just a hair under $25,000 for this 132,000 mile V-10 E-350 Sportsmobile camper. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour on everything this has going for it, all of the fun bits, everything I've been learning about it, and kind of take you for a little drive throughout some of this beautiful nature area out here in the San Bernardino National Forest. And we're also going to highlight these Firestone Destination XTs. Now, this is only a 2-wheel drive van. Theoretically speaking, it's got a limited slip differential, but who knows how effective it is here after 25 years and 132,000 miles. But I knew that I wanted to be able to go out and go to sites like this, and I didn't want to spend the money and the complexity to get a 4-wheel drive conversion. Because the way I see it, and the way a lot of more experienced people mention it, is 4-wheel drive just allows you to get more stuck. So this thing's got a winch on the front of it, and it's got, like I said, theoretically a limited slip diff and a lot of weight over the rear axle. So I was comfortable with going with just a 2-wheel drive rig. However, I knew that I did need to have some sort of meteor rubber. So I talked to the Topher, and I asked him, because he's reviewed all sorts of all-terrain tires. I said, what should I get for the Haus van? And he recommended the Firestone Destination XTs. I think he's running Destination MTs on his Ranger Raptor right now, and those are more capable tire, but he admitted that the Destination XTs have been his favorite all-around sort of tire that he's used on his trucks. And that's the thing is, yes, sometimes I'm going to be coming out and doing off-roading like this, but primarily this is going to be an on-road rig because you're going to do a ton of miles to get to the vacation spots that you're going to be traveling to. And then I also want this for taking to the beach and taking our daughter in and kind of just having a comfortable place to hang out in. So I went with the Firestone Destination XTs. So far today, they've really impressed me throughout this kind of off-roading area. I've already shot a few clips that I think you're going to be pretty impressed with actually some snow and ice. Because you might be able to see there's just a little bit of snow on the north faces of some of these mountain peaks. And getting out here, we actually had to turn around and do some snow and ice traversing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Destination XTs, but let me get back to touring this van, because admittedly this is just a bit of a geek fest for me, because it's just fun. It's just cool. These sort of rigs are going for well into the six figures with low miles and new. I think if you wanted to get a new sort of Econoline or definitely a Sprinter sort of build out, even just two-wheel drive to get the lift on there and everything in the interior build, which we're going to see soon, you're talking $150,000 or so. So personally, I think 20 grand, knowing that it's going to need some work, so just say $25,000, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. But I am the fourth owner of this vehicle, and if you are a car enthusiast, you know it's never great to be the fourth owner of something, because it's typically at about the third owner that care and maintenance starts getting neglected a little bit. So if you're the fourth owner, then you're kind of picking around and picking up the pieces to what's going on with this rig. So let's just start at the front and move all the way back. Like I said, I do have this big meaty winch on here, but it doesn't work. And I don't know if it's a functionality of the winch or if it's just a wiring issue or what the deal is. That's, again, kind of the bummer about being the fourth owner, is you can't exactly just recall what's been done to a truck and figure it out. So let's pop this open real fast. I believe this is an aluminous front bumper. It is aluminum, kind of hence the name. So we've got some straps that the previous owner left, and then I don't know what brand this winch is, but it says it's a 12,000 pound winch. And yeah, theoretically, it's just kind of some wiring that I need to figure out and maybe hook back up. And then that'll greatly help me if I were to get stuck in a situation out here in the woods. Now, maybe in the desert, not going to help me all too much. This camera right here is something I just recently installed, and we actually have a full dedicated video on. This is a Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro front bumper cam. It's tied in to an aftermarket rearview mirror and a rear camera and dash cam. So that's the three different cameras. So if you want to see anything more on that, check the link below. I've got the full dedicated review on that. We're also kind of getting our impressions of that this weekend. We've got a big old functional light bar and LED lights there in the bumper that really light up the trail. I was actually kind of hoping to be out a little bit later last night and have to experience that, but maybe next time. Then coming on back, we see the Fox Performance Series shocks that I just had installed on here. I actually had essentially the entire front end rebuilt, all different bushings and sway bar end links, tighten this thing back up. The steering is still a little loose and wandery, so I'm gonna have to kind of keep digging into that. But these are actually specially tuned shocks by Agile Off-Road. That is not sponsored. I did pay for those with my own money. They're valved specifically for the weight of these Sportsmobile E-350s. So got those all the way around. I've been pretty happy with them so far. This is the LP gas access right here. And I was actually running the heat last night. I turned it off, the heat in the middle of the night, because I wanted to save gas, but I actually barely used any of the LP gas in here. I'm actually pretty impressed by that. So that's kind of cool. That works for the furnace and the water heater and the stove. 35-gallon fuel tank, so that helps because this thing, I imagine, gets about 10 miles per gallon cruising at highway speeds. I will do some sort of highway fuel economy test with this at some point just so that I have a baseline. But yeah, I cannot imagine it's good, especially with the V10. It's got shore power hookup, so right here, 240 volt, 30 amp, you can plug in to either your house or an RV campsite and get power into the van. Exhausts for the water heater and the furnace. Then right here, we actually have a shower. This is both cool for if you're spending multiple days off-grid or if you just go to the beach and you want to rinse yourself off of the ocean water and then rinse your feet off before you get into the van. There you see you got a little shower head, definitely dated, definitely 25 years old, but it is functional. Coming down, we have the fresh water hookup, so you can just hook your garden hose in there. It's got a 15-gallon water tank inside, so that helps for taking the showers or washing your hands, brushing your teeth, doing dishes, etc. Got another aluminous bumper here on the rear. That gives us our spare tire. We've got a Destination XT mounted on there as well. Trailer brake controller and double hitches, double hitched up. That's mostly because you've got the one that actually goes onto the frame of the truck down below, and then the aluminous bumper also provides a hitch. Got a little ladder right here so you can climb on up and get to the roof. We see a small solar panel up there. It doesn't seem to get a ton of power. Again, it's probably pretty darn old. I'm sure solar technology has come a long way. Someday I would like to swap that out for something a little bit more modern. Then we've also got roof rail gutters right here, or runners, T-slots. I need to get some roof rails. Previous owner had them in the pictures, and it wasn't until I got home that I realized, oh, those aren't on the van anymore. Bummer. Right back here we see our Wolfbox rear view cam again, and some fun stickers. This is a CB radio antenna that has since been severed, so unfortunately no working CB radio. In here we have, this is access for our furnace, I believe, and maybe the water heater as well. The water heater is one of the few parts I haven't yet used on this van. Haven't needed to use warm water yet. Some exterior lighting. The paint sure could use some love. It is clear that this is kind of seen some action out in use. Okay, I think we're ready to head on inside. So let's start from the driver's seat. Popping open. This van was custom upholstered by the first owner, and I don't know exactly what Bears Sick Sticks means. I don't know if it was his shop or something like that, or hers, I suppose. If any of you know what that means, let me know. I would love to get in contact with the original owner of this van. I've got some fake carbon fiber inlay here. I would prefer to have some sort of wood grain. I think that would look a lot nicer, especially with this super classy wood steering wheel. It's obviously seen some love, but still in pretty darn good shape. A lot of the van could use some cleaning up and maybe just some replacement of basic pieces and parts. It's just, you know, it's just used. It really is. This is a rough and ready sort of van. Now this seat is actually a fancy Recaro seat that provides 2 different lumbar adjustments, 2 different height adjustments, the recline, and then heating and ventilating, which is pretty darn cool. I don't really know how the ventilating is supposed to work, considering this is not, what do you call it, perforated or anything, but that is pretty cool. Climbing on in. We've got our trailer brake controller down here, aftermarket. This is kind of cool. This is a security system that was put in by the previous owner after this van was broken into and all the stereo equipment was stolen, as well as the catalytic converter. This makes it so if you pop this little plastic piece off, it entirely immobilizes the starter. You cannot start the van now. If you try starting it, it just runs and runs and runs. So that's kind of cool that you can pop that off, put it on your keychain. Also, the previous owner installed a new catalytic converter with very thick steel cabling along it, which is very comforting because obviously it'd be very easy to climb up underneath this. Got an aftermarket Kenwood head unit that looks like it was put in a few years ago. We've got wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with that, no wireless. This is our Wolfbox camera. I'm going to show you more on that in the dedicated video, but you'll see it when we're driving as well. And then look at this. This is Ann Camper. That's pretty cool. I'm actually going to hop back out and go in the other side and show you from there, and we'll pop the pop top. There's a little keypad on here, which does not work. The previous owner had no idea about it, so that's something that will theoretically have to be torn into if I ever want to get it working again. But here we are. Again, this is something that was big for Alyssa and I for finding a camper van like this, is we wanted to have the 3rd seat here, or 6th seat, depending on how you count it, because we wanted our daughter to be able to sit right up by us and not be way back in the couch area. And also, if any of you have young kids and you're looking for kind of camper vans or RVs or anything like that, you'll know that a lot of the seating arrangements, whether they're around kind of a dining table or they're side mounted or anything, are not recommended or safe for babies, especially in rear facing car seats. So I wanted something that was properly mounted into the floor, a real seat with a real proper seat belt facing in the right direction for us to be able to put the car seat in. And then it's also cool that you can fit 6 people in here, because you've got 1, 2, 3 seat belts and then 4, 5, 6 on that seat back there. And this seat's fully removable. You could do 4 bolts or something and pull it out, and you can also rotate it around to face other directions here in the cabin. So let's show you how to pop this pop top. This was something that I also was willing to spend a little bit more for, because if you're just in a van that's about this high or so, I mean, you're always crouched over. I'm only 5'10", but accessing any of the sink or stove or anything like that you're always crouched. So you pop those two clasps, and you come back here, pop this last one, and then kind of put your shoulder into it. One good heave. And look at that. Now I have plenty of headroom, even at probably about 6'2", 6'3" or so, be able to stand up in here comfortably. And you get an extra sleeping position right there. So 1, 2, you can drop this piece down, have it be a sleeper, and then that seat folds down as well. On top of that, you have a refrigerator right here. I don't have it on right now. It is a bit musty, but it exists, so you can use that. You have a microwave, fully functional. You have some storage. You have a 2-burner propane, what would that be, a stove top. You have a fully working sink. You have a ton of lighting throughout the cabin that the previous owner also installed red lights in, if you want to be able to kind of just have it on at night and not ruin your night vision. Lighting up here as well. You've got a separate air conditioning unit that can run off of, I think the generator has to be running for the AC to work. You can't just run it off the battery of the van. Maybe if you really customized it such that you were running maybe like a lithium-ion battery that was really powerful, then possibly you could make it so the AC unit works off battery. But I think for that you'd have to either have the van running or you'd have to have the generator running. So you can see, I can come on back here, sit down. There are seat belts that you can pull out, windows you can pop open. We've got our solar panel readout right here. Tells me I'm getting about 0.3, I think it's about 3 amps or so of solar power coming in. Got a bunch of adjustable lights throughout the cabin. Thermostat, so you can run your AC or your heating, and it just pops on like a normal furnace. What else? Oh, we've got tons of storage. This pops out. I've got some eating materials in there. Air vents for both heat and ventilation. More lighting. More storage space. I've got bedding and towels in there in case I feel like taking a shower. And then this whole back area, I'm using it for storage right now, but there's sleeping pad underneath, so you could pull this open, put it flat, and then have a secondary bed. So it's kind of like having 2 twin beds right here in one unit. It's pretty darn cool. And then if this is halfway open, you can access all of the things underneath, which is your water tank. You've got some power aspects in there. You've got your furnace running up under there. We've got wall style outlets throughout the cabin, sensors for carbon monoxide and fire. It really is a pretty clever layout, and it allows so much functionality for both single person, 2 people, 3 people, all the way up to 6 people to utilize this van. You've got nifty little details, like right here you can drop the shade for just kind of blocking out a little bit of sun, a little bit of privacy, or you can pull the top part down and then it's nearly a blackout curtain for full privacy. We can lift them all the way up. What else? 12-volt outlets. You got a little place for a trash can right in there. I mean, it's a cool rig. It really is. I've been happy with it so far. This is my first time getting to take it out in the woods and really put it to the test. And it's got its quirks. It really does. But it has character, and I love me a vehicle with character. And then again, the ability to just wake up in the morning, step out here, and have this. I mean, just take a listen. This was roughly a 2-hour drive from my house. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to get some footage shot on the Wolfbox products that we have been using with the camper so far. I'm going to get this thing closed up, maybe grab a little lunch, and then head out on the trail and we'll talk about these Firestone Destination XTs. Here we are ready to head out from our site. starting up the Triton V-10. 6.8 liters, 10 cylinders. Not quite as big as the 7.3 Power Stroke that I had in my last rig, but I wanted to go with the V10 because I knew that I would occasionally use this van for towing, and we've got mountains around here, and I pretty much just wanted something that was not going to have been stressed throughout its life, most likely. Something like the 4.6 or the 5.4 is probably going to have been used a little bit harder, and I just wanted to have that overhead, and plus I always wanted to say I've owned a V10. So this might not be the most special V10 on the market, but hey, it's my V10. Now, you'll see an airbag light flashing, and that is because there's some sort of connection around here that is loose. And oftentimes when I get up and move to the back, I accidentally kick it loose. I need to get to the bottom of that. But we've got our G900. Let's switch this to, let's go to the back cam. Parking brake off. All right. And here we go. Now, off-roading in a camper van obviously has its downsides, and one of the biggest of them is just the noise. I mean, everything is rattling around back there. There's no getting away from the fact that you are moving a lot of things, therefore it's going to be loud. A little bit of water action with the Destination XTs already. But airing these down to about 35 PSI has made a pretty significant difference in sort of the initial impact harshness. And then I've been pretty happy with the performance Fox shocks as well. Now you could get these vans with the 7.3 Power Stroke, which is again what I had in my F-350 Super Duty, but ultimately I didn't want that powertrain. First of all, it's loud, and it would be even louder in this sort of van configuration where you got the doghouse right here and the engine is ticking away right underneath you. Yes, you'd get better fuel economy and theoretically longer longevity with the 7.3 Power Stroke, but everything you save in fuel, you essentially end up paying for in maintenance and upkeep and oil changes. That motor holds, I think, 15 quarts of oil, as opposed to probably something like 6 or 7 here with the V10. So oil changes are going to be a lot more expensive. So even though I'm probably getting horrendous fuel economy with the V10 Triton, I'm going to see it on the other end in maintenance and upkeep costs. Now, I have fairly limited maintenance records on this engine. It probably is on its original spark plugs. I don't know for sure. I plan on doing the spark plugs at some point. I don't know how involved of a job that's going to be. I can't imagine it's going to be easy. So pour one out for me on that. But this motor is so much quieter. If I were rumbling through here with the 7.3 Power Stroke and idling and that sort of deal, I mean, you'd barely be able to hear me talk. And then obviously you could get newer versions of these vans with the 6-liter Power Stroke, and theoretically those are a little bit more reliable in the vans than they were in the trucks. But I'm gonna actually have to pay attention a little bit here. Don't want to slip down in this off-camber section. But again, you have a lot of the same diesel considerations as well as reliability issues with the 6-liter Power Stroke. Now, ultimately, if this van had popped up and all of the other parts of it were the same, but it only had the 5.4 Triton, I would have been okay with that. I think that motor is stout enough to do what I want to do. It just maybe would have struggled a little bit more if we had a few people in here, a lot of gear, and a trailer. But hey, get the V10. It's going to have kind of a cooler sound and better resale value and more overhead. Do a little brake test from about 15 with the Destination XTs. Oh, okay. Obviously quite good. I wasn't even locking them up, but everything went flying forward. there's so much weight over the rear axle, especially aired down to 35 psi here. I'm sure that we just have oodles of grip in this sort of dirt situation. Now, obviously, a lot of people go with something more like a pickup truck with a rooftop tent camping situation, as opposed to something like this van. And then I'd have a lot more usability, it would look cooler, and then when I want to get up to camp, just pop open the tent and there everything is. But the reason I wanted to go with a van over a truck situation like that is, yes, I like using this for camping out here in the woods, but also I wanted some sort of vehicle that was good for taking to the beach, for taking on longer road trips, kind of going to national parks, something like that, where the off-road capabilities really aren't that important. It's more the fact that we could carry myself, my wife, and my daughter and have a place where the three of us could easily stop, eat some lunch, use the fridge that's back there, something like that, and continue on with our day, rather than having to, okay, get out of the truck and get everything out of the back and open everything, use it, and then put it back. Oh wow, this is, Now I could bypass this, or I could go through. How deep do we think it is? That's the $1 million question when it comes to water fording, is how deep does it get? Can we get through here? Just seems like the smarter thing to do, right? Now this is a bit off camera and a bit of a crawl. Oh! I can hear everything flexing up above. I would have liked to go through that, but I'm out here alone, and what if there's some big ruts and I end up whacking something? All right, I got my wish. I headed up here to these trails to hopefully find some snow to have to traverse. And here we are, my first hill that's actually been snow covered. We've had snow on the sides coming up a little bit already, but first time that we're actually having to drive on the snow. So, rear wheel drive, of course. Destination XTs. Let's do a little brake test. Ooh, oh, there's ice under here. I could feel that slide sideways. Yep, that's slushy, melted ice here. All right. Look at that. Taken right off, no problem. Oh, that's cool. Can we come to a stop in the snow and then get going? Let's see. go. Okay. All right. Absolutely no traction there. Doesn't seem like my limited slip diff is working much either, does it? Okay. All right. So we're gonna back it down a little bit. Get a little momentum. Gotta be careful because this is slick. Once this big van starts rolling, it's not stopping. I guess I don't think I have ABS. All right, let's see now. We're in a little bit of the middle of the track. Can we get some momentum? There we go. Oh, and we broke loose. Okay. I'm not terribly surprised. It's just nice to know what the limits are. I mean, the main thing is this is such a giant, heavy van that just having any sort of momentum, I think we're going to be just fine. But trying to come from a total stop on near ice. The other thing is that we're not aired down. We're still up at 50 PSI plus. So, not surprised at all that we couldn't really get going there. All right. Now we got it, I'm sure. A little bit of slip, but we're building up some speed. There we go. Oh, okay. Slipping again, but it's grabbing, it's trying. Keep going, keep going. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's keep up some momentum. Rear wheel drive, huge van. Coming up the hill. Oh wow, this is actually gonna get... Uh-oh. I think I needed that momentum. Might need to pop the camera off and see what's going on here. We actually ended up having to back down because there are two Broncos up there and one slid into the other one as it was trying to come down. The woman said that it's significantly worse up there in terms of slipperiness and snow cover. So looks like I got my wish real quick with the snow. And we're going to have to go back and find another place to camp tonight because we're not making it up this way safely. When I first drove the E-350 home, one of my biggest concerns, as silly as it might sound, is that the road noise was atrocious. And when I got home, I took a closer look at the tires, and from the tread depth, they were still in pretty good shape. I think they were Toyo open countries. I'll have to double check here. But the tread blocks were rock hard, and the tires were a number of years old, so that was probably a big part of it. But one of my top concerns was, yes, obviously, this being a two-wheel drive van, I want to be able to do some degree of exploring off-road and not immediately spin my tires. So I needed some off-road ability, but a higher concern for me was not having crazy road noise. I'm just somebody who, I don't like a lot of noise when I drive, and I know it might sound a bit ironic to you in this because it's fairly cavernous, it's loud, but some of that is stuff in the back that I think I can still work to get secured down and not rattle as much. And then some is the fact that we're on a concrete section of highway here, and then some is our seals in the doors that I think can be improved upon. I mean, this is a 25-year-old utility van after all. So I talked to the topher and I said, hey man, you've reviewed a whole ton of all-terrain tires. What can I get that's going to be competent off-road but still be very quiet? And I think there might have been another brand that he recommended that he said might be slightly quieter, but it wasn't worth the trade-offs. And so maybe a little tiny bit louder here with the Destination XTs, but the fact that they perform so well off-road and in muddy conditions in the dirt, he said, absolutely worth it. So he's my tire guy. I trust him. And I gotta say, up here at highway speeds, you might have a tough time being able to tell in this section of highway with the roughness, but I am very satisfied with the road noise. Let's just take a listen for a moment. Despite this being a concrete highway and us going 60 miles per hour, you're not hearing much of the tires. You're not hearing that whir, 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 anything like that. It was much more pronounced with the previous tires. So, and that's the thing, typically you're driving kind of an all-terrain tire sort of rig, and you're either going to have something so big and fancy that the road noise is going to be very well sealed out, or you're going to have something so rugged like this that you're going to have so many other things making noise that tire noise is going to be the least of your concerns. And that's a little bit where I am here. Just as long as the tires aren't overpowering the rest of the vehicle, I'm happy. And you can see we are cruising along. We've got the Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro here, giving us the rear camera layout. I can see that motorcycle coming around in the far left lane. I can see there's nobody behind me. Like having that so far. If you do want to see the full review of that, check the link below. It's got multiple different camera angles that we're going to explore here later on, doing some off-roading. Definitely a big must-have for me, some extra visibility with the mirrors. I also added the little outside blind spot mirrors in the lower corners of the big outside mirrors. In terms of the actual driving, there is a good amount of play in the steering, and there was a little bit of a kerfuffle in getting this thing properly aligned and new suspension components installed. So I do need to take it back to the shop at some point and check the alignment, maybe try to adjust camber or something. I might look into doing some sort of steering stabilizer in order to quiet and calm the steering down a little bit. I know it's not going to drive as straight and narrow and easy as something like that Civic right there, but I'd like to just dial in the steering a little bit more, get it a little less all over the place. And this is a little bit pet peeve of me, but when I'm driving straight down the road, the steering wheel isn't straight. It's off by about 5 degrees to the left. And ultimately, I'd like that to be resolved. Here you can see we're on an asphalt section of highway, and again, going a little slower. I guess I might as well merge over here into the fast lane since people not really concerned with going quickly. But I'm really not hearing the tires too much. I'm very happy with that. Yeah, and I mean, we'll definitely have to see how that wears in after 10,000, 20,000 miles or so in a big heavy vehicle like this. But for as aggressive of a tire as the Destination XT is, very happy with that road noise. So, after that pretty exhaustive off-road camping trip, I'm impressed with this old rig. I really am. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to go with something like a Ford or even a Chevy over something like a Sprinter or a Transit, or even worse, like a ProMaster or something like that, is you know that the Ford E-350 is a stout machine. I mean, these things are built to go hundreds of thousands of miles, doing hard work, doors constantly being opened, closed, slammed, going over rough terrain, being utility and work sort of vehicles. So yes, it might not be the quietest or most refined or most fuel efficient, but to be able to spend days and days washboarding along dirt trails and undulating and going over big bumps like that and everything, and still come together at the end of the day and finish the whole thing in one piece in the same way that you showed up with it. Maybe just a few things moved around or rattled or loosened throughout the cabin, but that's why I wanted to go with something like this. And I'm impressed with the Sportsmobile build out as well, this EB50 layout. I mean, nothing seems to have broken, and not too many things seem to have broken over the 132,000 miles that this van has had, that based on the condition and the exterior, I can't imagine were all particularly easy miles. So I look forward to having all sorts of different adventures with this car. Now, if for those of you who do watch Daily Motor regularly and have for a while, you've known that I've had all sorts of silly character-filled vehicles. The car I've owned the longest was a 2006 Chrysler Town & Country that was not in great condition when I bought it and wasn't in great condition when I sold it, but it was a car that I enjoyed and, again, was full of character. And this is much more expensive, but much more capable, much more stout, and something that I look forward to using to make memories with my family and myself and with this Haus van for many, many years. So thank you all so much for watching. If you're curious about Sportsmobiles, stay tuned. I'm going to try to make update videos with this periodically as I use it, improve it, and add to it. Big shout out to Firestone for their Destination XT tires. I really couldn't be happier, and I say that wholeheartedly. Until I get stuck or have an issue, I think these are going to be a fantastic companion for this van. A lot of really rough rock that we were running over and everything, and these seem to be, yeah, just totally fine. Keep the sidewalls intact and keep everything good to go. Any questions you have, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer them, because videos won't come all too often with this, but I'm gonna get it all cleaned up and kind of get ready for the next round of improvements. Thank you, everybody. If you do want to see more on the Wolfbox stuff as well, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.